She was cleaning the floor with 2 children on her back. Nobody saw her, until the most powerful man in the building stopped. And in that second, her world was never the same. Stay until the end. This story will disarm you. The elevator descends in absolute silence. The brushed steel reflects the cold contours of a man who no longer notices his own reflection. Leonardo Moretti is motionless. A charcoal gray suit, Italian cufflinks, eyes fixed on the scanner in front of him. Hands clasped, his mind on some invisible mental spreadsheet. The display shows the number 27. A slight shudder on the floor, and the world below continues. He doesn't move his neck, doesn't sigh. He doesn't even realize that deep down, his own thoughts no longer make any noise. There are days that seem the same. There are years that seem like days. When the elevator slows down on the ground floor, the dry sound of the rails seems louder than it should. The doors open, and order gives way to noise. There is movement in the lobby. Someone is sweeping the floor too fast, as if the world were going to end in 5 minutes and she needed to clean it beforehand. The broom slides from side to side, but what catches his eye isn't the gesture, it's the weight. Two little bodies tied to her back, sleeping in one of those makeshift slings, hanging like tired angels, heads resting on their mother's neck, little legs loose, cheeks brushing her skin as if that were the only safe place in the world. She wears a faded scarf on her head. Her shoes are worn. The cleaning uniform has stains on the hem. And she just keeps cleaning. Leonardo doesn't move. No words, no sound. Only the dry noise of the broom on the marble. She notices his presence. Of course she does. But she doesn't look. She doesn't stop. Her head remains bowed, focused on the floor, as if it were a divine obligation. The only gesture that escapes her control is a slight tightening of her hands on the broom handle. Discreet, almost imperceptible. But not for him. Leonardo steps out of the elevator. She takes a step to the side. He doesn't speak to anyone, not to her, but he doesn't move forward. He stays there, standing, watching like someone trying to understand a foreign language just by the sound. The security guard, from a distance, swallows. The receptionist behind the counter pretends not to see. The woman cleans around the elevator door with precision, and for an instant, her eyes meet his. It's a dry, raw, unfiltered instant, without emotional makeup. She doesn't look at him with shame, or with flattery, or with fear. She looks at him as if to say, "I'm exhausted, but I won't break." It's the look of someone who has 30 seconds of peace before one of the children wakes up. Leonardo breathes. For the first time in hours, he really breathes. And he feels something that has no name. It's not pity. It's not desire. It's not charity. It's unease. The clock in the lobby chimes every 15 minutes, a reminder of time that no one listens to anymore. But he hears it now, because there's something profoundly wrong with all of this, in the way everyone looks away, in how no one, not a single person, seems to notice that this woman is carrying 2 children on her back while cleaning the floor of a 47-story building. He's not used to feeling uncomfortable. His whole life was built to not feel. But now he feels, and it disorganizes him. The phone vibrates in his inner coat pocket. 3 messages. A meeting on the 12th floor in 39 minutes. His secretary is waiting for him with the merger report. He doesn't respond. Not yet. Because for the first time in a long time, he's not in a hurry. The woman finishes sweeping the hallway. She doesn't look up again. She goes into the cleaning room. She closes the door behind her. Silence returns. But it's not the same. Leonardo gets into the black SUV that is already waiting for him at the side door. The driver doesn't speak. He's used to the boss's silence, but this time, something changes. "What's the name of the cleaning lady who was on the ground floor?" The driver hesitates. He looks in the rearview mirror, as if unsure he heard correctly. "Excuse me, sir?" "The woman who was cleaning, with 2 babies on her back. Find out her name." The driver just nods. Leonardo doesn't repeat himself. The tires glide through the city streets, but he is still there, standing in the lobby, standing in that gaze. He hasn't been distracted in 20 years. Not when he lost his father. Not when the company almost went bankrupt. Not when he fired 4,000 people in 1 week, but now. Now the world seems a little out of place. The image of her returns like a reflection in the mirror of a dark car. The scarf, the feet, the hands, and above all, her silence. A silence that says more than all the reports he has ever read. What would you do if you were Leonardo and saw this woman? Would you offer to help, or would you simply be moved by the sight? A different kind of value. The next day, he enters the building through the same door. The security guard smiles at him automatically. The elevator is already being called. His assistants are waiting for him on the 30th floor. His schedule is full. But Leonardo doesn't go up. He walks to the end of the hallway. The cleaning room is locked. The light is off. Across the hall, in the staff lunch area, there is a table with 4 chairs. One of them is empty. The others have 2 glasses of juice and 3 moldy pieces of bread. And she is there, sitting, with the 2 children on her lap, trying to get them to sleep, despite the noise of the other employees coming and going. She doesn't see him coming. He watches in silence. He watches as she cradles the children. He observes the deep, dark circles under her eyes, the held breath. "Has breakfast arrived yet?" She looks up. The other 3 employees in the room freeze. Leonardo speaks naturally, as if it were common for a CEO to ask that. She swallows. It takes her a moment to respond. "We take it at the end of the line, if there's any left." He doesn't smile. He just looks at the nearest guard and says, "Serve her breakfast now. A full, hot breakfast." Then he turns and leaves. He doesn't expect thanks, or an explanation, but he knows everyone will talk about this. And curiously, he doesn't care. Because for the first time in decades, something in the world stopped making sense. And that something is carrying 2 children on her back. And she hasn't asked for anything from anyone. Leonardo enters the elevator. The glass reflects his face. For the first time in years, he doesn't look so sure of himself. The door closes, but the image of her doesn't disappear. She arrives before the sun, 5:32 in the morning. The city is still sleepy, the sky stained with a washed-out blue, and Sophia is already crossing the main street with her 2 children tied to her back. 1 on each side, their bodies held by an adapted fabric, the cold sweat starting to stick at the base of her neck. She doesn't wear a watch. She measures time by the children's crying, by the noise of the garbage truck, by the change of shift of the doormen. Each sound has its meaning, each step, its urgency. The building where she works is so tall that her eyes can't even reach the top. A giant of glass, steel, and distances that were not made for people like her. The badge she wears has been reprinted 3 times. The ink barely shows her name. Sophia doesn't have to think to climb the service stairs. 15 flights. The elevators are not allowed for cleaning staff before 7 a.m. But the weight of the children forces her to go slowly. She has already learned to breathe between one step and the next, to carry her dignity with the same care with which she carries her children. In the supply room, the smell of bleach stings her eyes. She settles the children on a makeshift mattress on the floor. 2 thin pillows, a sheet with a cartoon pattern that no one would recognize. The twins sleep together, hugging as if they were an extension of the same body. Sophia takes a deep breath. She closes her eyes for 3 seconds. Then she gets up, puts on her gloves, ties her hair back, and starts her shift. No good mornings on the internal radio. No courtesies between the walls. Most of the employees ignore her with the nonchalance of someone who has forgotten that other people exist. Some look at her with contempt. A group of interns comments, louder than necessary. I bet she's looking for someone to pay her bills. Maybe it's a strategy. 2 kids in the package, imagine the drama. Don't talk like that. She's not even ugly. They laugh. Sophia doesn't respond. She has learned that dignity is silence when you want to scream. In room 2314, she pours disinfectant on the floor, spreads it with a rag. She repeats mechanical gestures with surgical precision. Every movement is a rhythm, a routine. It's what keeps her world standing. Until the routine breaks. At 6:47 a.m., a guard rushes into the cleaning sector, paper in hand, eyes down. This is for you, Doña Sofia. She wipes her hands on her uniform before taking the paper. Cafeteria, reserved table, breakfast served. Signed, L. She freezes for 2 seconds. Then she folds the paper with no emotion on her face. She doesn't comment. She just walks to the employee lounge, where the smell of hot bread hits her hard. The table in the corner is set. Juice, coffee, cut fruit, a cloth napkin. Eyes fall on her like headlights. She feels the weight. She knows everyone there is about to construct a version of her that she can't control. She sits in silence. She eats little. Half an apple, a sip of coffee. She saves the rest in a makeshift bag for her children. One of the older employees tries to make conversation. He forces an awkward sympathy. Earning points, huh? She doesn't respond. On the other side of the video, Leonardo watches. He's in a meeting room on the 12th floor. He doesn't hear what they say. He just sees. He sees how she doesn't lower her head. He sees how she doesn't give in to what they expect her to be. He has lived that, too. In a different way. With other pains. But he recognizes what it is to grow up having to swallow your pride to get ahead. Hours later, when the morning has lost its shine, Leonardo calls his assistant. I want her full name and her story. But be careful, discreetly. The assistant swallows hard. The cleaning lady? Leonardo looks up, just for a second. Sophia, her name. He memorized it. The assistant leaves in silence. Downstairs, Sophia changes the children's diapers on a Formica counter. She uses cloths she brought from home because the companies are too rough. She sings an old song she learned from her grandmother softly. The children laugh. One claps. The other rests his face on her chest and murmurs, "Mama," in a sleepy voice. For 5 minutes, the world is just that. The muffled laughter of 2 children and the silent warmth of a woman who is fighting not to let pain turn into rage. But the real world always returns. At the change of shift, the operations coordinator approaches her with cold eyes. You are obstructing the flow, Sophia. Me? The aisles must be clear. And, she hesitates, you brought the children again. Sophia takes a deep breath. I have no one to leave them with. I understand. But some employees complained. And well, it's not a suitable environment for babies. Sophia doesn't respond. If this continues, we're going to have to call human resources. Call. The coordinator swallows hard. She didn't expect a response. She leaves. From the floor above, Leonardo sees part of the conversation. He doesn't hear, but he understands. Sophia's body speaks. The way she returns to the room, firm, with watery eyes, her back straight. At night in her apartment, if it can be called that. The ceiling leaks. The water seeps in slowly, as if with laziness. The room smells of mold, a stuck window, a two-burner stove, and a makeshift clothesline hung with electrical tape between the wardrobe and the wall. Sophia prepares rice. She fries an egg. She divides it into 3 plastic plates. The children fall asleep early, tired. The heat is stifling, and she sits on the floor, leaning against the wall, with her old phone in her hands. She opens the gallery. There is only one recent photo of her. She is sweaty, tired, with deep, dark circles, holding the 2 of them in her arms, one on each side. Someone took the photo without her noticing. She looks at it for a while. She closes her eyes. The silence of the place is so great that she can hear her heart. The next morning, she is already at the building at 6. Again. And this time, the receptionist looks at her with suspicion. A paper on the counter. Sign here. What is it? A warning notice. Reason: constant presence of minors in an inappropriate work environment. Sophia signs without arguing. She understands. The breakfast has become gossip. Her name circulates, not as a person, as a rumor. But she doesn't have time to defend herself from those who only want to see scandal, where there is only survival. At that very moment, on the 43rd floor, Leonardo receives an email. Subject: cleaning employee, inappropriate situation. Dear Mr. Moretti, several complaints have been formalized regarding the employee Sophia Almeida. The constant presence of minors on company premises is causing discomfort and an inappropriate public perception, especially considering the recent episode in which the employee was seen receiving preferential treatment during unauthorized hours. We suggest a formal warning and subsequent dismissal of the employee to avoid setting a precedent. Leonardo doesn't reply to the email. He goes down. In person. In front of the operations room, he stands before 3 managers. Who authorized Sophia's warning? Silence. Who? One of the coordinators stammers. It was decisions from the sector, sir. The presence of the children is not. She is going to continue coming with her children, every day, until further notice, and anyone who has any comments about it can leave the company. No one says anything. Leonardo goes into his room. The cleaning room. It's empty. But on the table, there is a notebook. He opens it. Inside, old newspaper clippings, children's crayon drawings, a small, handwritten paper. Mom, we love you very much. He closes it, and for the first time in a long time, he remembers what it is to admire someone. When she returns, she finds the warning torn in the trash, and a new paper on the table. Next coffee, with me. Signed, L. Sophia folds the paper with her fingertips, like someone holding something too hot. Next coffee, with me. No date, no time, no formal invitation. Just the phrase, just the gesture. She folds it into 4 and puts it in the inner pocket of her apron. But the paper seems to burn there. The rest of the day passes as always, or she tries. She sweeps the ground floor, mops the bathrooms on the 5th, changes the trash bags on the executive floor. But her eyes don't focus on what they see. Her hands continue, but her head doesn't. Her head revolves around something that refuses to be named. What do you think will happen when Sophia finally agrees to have coffee with Leonardo? A fragile connection. Leonardo doesn't appear that day, or the next. But on Thursday, at 11:12 a.m., he goes down personally to the building's maintenance sector. He doesn't announce it. He doesn't send for anyone. He just appears. The coffee machine here is a piece of junk, he says, as if it were a common topic. Sophia is behind the counter, organizing rags and brooms. She doesn't expect him. When she looks up, he's already there, standing, with his hands in his pockets and a slight frown. as if he's wondering what exactly he's doing there. She doesn't respond. He points his chin toward the room in the back. Is there a chair in there, or do you just sit on the floor? She hesitates. Then she walks to the next room and returns with a blue plastic chair. He takes another and sits down. Neither of them says anything for a few seconds. The noise of the company continues. Printers spitting out paper, phones ringing, shoes hitting the marble floor. But in there, in that cleaning room, it's a different time. Are you always like that? He asks, looking at the floor. Like what? Quiet, firm, she thinks before answering. I speak when it's worth spending my voice. He smiles sideways. A brief, almost invisible smile, but it breaks something inside him. And you? She asks, surprised at her own audacity. Are you always like that? Do you show up, leave a little paper, and disappear? He shrugs, but his gaze, for the first time, seems to allow itself to be human. I'm trying to understand why I care. Sophia swallows hard. Then you don't care. You're just curious. No. He shakes his head. Curiosity passes. This hasn't passed yet. She looks at him as if looking at a dangerous place. Familiar and dangerous. And she decides that's enough. She gets up from the chair. I have to work. Leonardo doesn't insist. He just watches. Then he gets up too. As he's leaving, he says, without looking back, one of the children called me Dad yesterday. She freezes. Her shoulders tense. The air gets trapped in her lungs. It was by accident, she says in a whisper. I know. He has no idea. They don't know what that means. Leonardo turns to look at her. And do you know? She holds his gaze. I know what it feels like when it's over. They fall silent. And then he leaves, without saying anything else. That night, Sophia takes longer to fall asleep. One of the children has a fever. The other doesn't stop calling for her. She divides herself between the two, trying to stay calm, sweating, trembling. The fever doesn't go down. She calls the corner pharmacy. It's closed. She runs down with the child in her arms, crosses 2 streets, returns with the wrong syrup, tries again. It's 3 a.m. when both are asleep. She sits on the kitchen floor, wets her face with water from the tap, and rests her head against the cold tile. Tomorrow is Friday, and she can't be absent. The next morning, when she arrives at the building, her eyes are already red. The uniform is still damp. Her body is tense. Leonardo sees her from a distance but doesn't approach. He just watches. From inside the glass-walled room, behind a pile of papers that, suddenly, no longer seem to matter. 2 days later, she tries to avoid him. She cleans the floors at alternate times. She uses different routes. She pretends not to see him. He notices, and he respects it. For a while, until fate decides to intervene. It's Monday, late in the afternoon. She is leaving through the employee entrance with her 2 children, one in her arms, the other on her back. The sun has already hidden behind the buildings. The sky has that ugly end-of-day color that announces rain. A black car stops on the sidewalk. The window rolls down. Sophia? She turns slowly, and the past she tried to bury completely resurfaces. Rodrigo, the father of the children, an impeccable suit, a trimmed beard, an imported watch, a luxury car she had never seen. He smiles, a weightless smile, a smile already used up. You look beautiful, he says. She doesn't respond. Are they them? She clutches the children to her chest. The older one, still sleepy. Mama, what do you want? Rodrigo gets out of the car. He takes something from the passenger seat. An envelope. I came to do the right thing. I want to acknowledge the children. Give them my last name. She laughs. A short, ugly, bitter laugh. After 3 years? I was away. Things happened. But now, I want to be a part of their lives. She looks him in the eyes. You want to seem like a part, not be one. He sighs, feigns regret. We can work this out like adults, without fighting. It could be good for them. A last name, opportunities. She feels the anger start to boil inside her, but she doesn't explode, not in front of them. Go. Sophia, go. Rodrigo doesn't insist, but he leaves the envelope in the back seat and gets in the car. Before leaving, he says, "You'll be hearing from my lawyers." The car drives away, and she collapses. But she doesn't cry. She just sits on the sidewalk with the 2 children in her arms and feels the weight of the entire world crushing her chest. It is at that moment that Leonardo appears. He didn't see the whole conversation, just the final scene. Her on the sidewalk, the children asleep, and an expensive car driving away. He approaches. He doesn't say anything. He sits down beside her, in silence. After a while, he asks, "Who is that?" She responds without looking, "The father." Does he want something? He wants to pretend he's a father now, after disappearing since the pregnancy test. Leonardo closes his eyes for a second. When he opens them, he has already made up his mind. "I can help you." "No, it's not charity." "Still, no. Why?" "Because everything people like you give comes with interest later." "And what if it doesn't?" She looks at him, exhausted. "Then it's worse, because then I don't know what you really want." They look at each other for a long time. He breaks the silence in a lower voice. "Justice. That doesn't exist for people like me. Maybe it does, if someone pays for it." She gets up. "I'm not a social project." "I know. Nor your end-of-day distraction." "I know that too." She takes a deep breath. She almost says something. But she stops. She leaves with the children in her arms. Do you think Sophia is right to be so cautious with Leonardo, given her past? An unexpected partnership the next morning, Leonardo calls his legal team. He asks for silence, discretion, and the best family lawyers the country can offer. He gives only one order: I want her name and the children's names protected, whatever the cost. The whole room watches him, not understanding, but no one asks. He doesn't do it to please her, or to clear his conscience. He does it because he saw the scene, because the sidewalk wasn't her place, because no one who carries the weight of 2 children on their back should have to defend themselves alone. And because, although he may not know it, he has already started to care too much to pretend that he doesn't. In the following days, the tension doesn't dissolve, it spreads. No one says Sophia's name out loud, but it travels through the hallways in prolonged glances, uncomfortable whispers, questions disguised as curiosity. Some employees start telling versions of what they saw. Others invent what they wish were true. And what was once just silence begins to turn into noise. Until the first note appears on a small blog, then on a gossip profile. And in less than 24 hours, the case explodes. The scandal begins as a whisper. A message goes through a corporate WhatsApp group, a screenshot of a poorly cropped email, a theory, a vile nickname. And before noon, the hallways are already vibrating with the dirty energy of those who smell destruction before the truth. By the end of the afternoon, news portals receive the leak. A visually cheap but effective dossier. A blurry photo of Leonardo leaving the cleaning sector. An image of her with her children in her arms, inside the company lobby. An invented caption. Multimillionaire CEO has relationship with cleaning employee and secretly raises her children. The site explodes. The headline scales. The next morning, Leonardo enters the building and notices it immediately. The air has changed. The glances no longer avoid contact, they seek it out. The employees, once in a hurry, now hesitate to greet him. He walks down the hall like someone crossing an invisible crowd that is silently screaming. But he doesn't change his pace. He doesn't lower his gaze. In the boardroom, the meeting begins before he even sits down. "We need to talk," says one of the board members, an older man, always in well-pressed suits, with a constant fear of losing power. "I'm listening," Leonardo replies. The marketing director is more direct. "The shares have already felt the impact. We are receiving messages from investors, sponsors, people asking if you are going to leave the company." "I'm not going to leave," he says. The silence is dense. Another director tries to soften the blow. "We are not suggesting that yet, but there are legitimate concerns. The company's reputation is at stake. The relationship with the cleaning employee doesn't look good." Leonardo smiles, but it's not a pleasant smile. "Her name is Sophia." The room falls silent. "She has 2 children. She works harder than anyone here. And, for your information, there is no relationship, not as you insinuate." "Then why do you protect her?" "Because she deserves it." "And why are the company's lawyers handling the children's custody case?" Leonardo places his hands on the table. "Because justice is part of this company's culture. Do you remember the mission, vision, and values?" The chairman of the board sighs. "Leonardo, you have to understand. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about how it looks. It's about perception." Leonardo gets up. He picks up his jacket. He speaks without raising his voice. "When someone who carries 2 children on their back to clean the floor is attacked for seeming too important, the ones who should feel ashamed are you." And he leaves. He could go straight to his car. He could continue the day as if nothing had happened. But he doesn't. He goes down to the lobby. He enters the cleaning sector. Sophia isn't there. A coworker says she asked for the day off. He goes up again. He opens his office, turns on the lights, and sees that the reception television is on. A live debate program. They're talking about him. And what is the real problem here? That he is in a relationship with a poor woman, with children. That she is a cleaning employee, or that he is not ashamed to be seen with her. He is risking his position for an emotional adventure. It's insane. Or maybe it's courage. Maybe no one there had the courage to look at someone invisible and say, "You deserve more." Leonardo turns off the TV, and he decides. The company's annual convention is held the next day, a luxurious event, with press, foreign executives, minority partners, and all the corporate elite present. Everything prepared in detail. The speech, the timeline, the lighting, the guest list. A theater of glass, power, and rhetoric. He puts on his black suit. On the way, no one comments. But the driver grips the steering wheel more tightly. The silence weighs more than the air conditioning. At the event, the flashes await him at the entrance. "Leonardo, is the cleaning lady your girlfriend? Is it true that you will legally recognize her children? Are you going to leave the presidency?" He doesn't respond. Inside the hall, the lighting bathes the stage in golden tones. The audience is seated, restless. Low murmurs, hidden cell phones recording. At the back of the hall, in a chair near the emergency exit, Sophia is seated. She wears a simple shirt, dark pants, her hair tied back with a common hair tie. She is visibly uncomfortable. But it wasn't him who invited her. It was the secretary, a middle-aged woman who, without saying anything, simply left the invitation on the table in the cleaning room with a note. "He didn't ask me to, but I think he would like you to come." Sophia didn't want to come, but she came, And now she is there, small, out of place, alone, or almost. The master of ceremonies announces his name. Contained applause. Disguised expectations. Leonardo goes up to the stage. The light finds him. He looks at the audience. The teleprompter turns on. But he doesn't read it. He takes the microphone from the pedestal. He walks to the edge of the stage. I had a speech prepared, but I'm not going to use it. The tension grows. In recent days, my name has appeared everywhere. Headlines, social networks, internal meetings. Many are wondering what is happening with me, what I'm thinking, what I'm hiding, why I did what I did. He breathes, and the answer is simple. I saw someone, and I couldn't continue pretending that I didn't see her. Absolute silence. In the middle of a 47-story building, full of people who talk about purpose, innovation, and humanity, I saw a woman, carrying 2 children while cleaning the floor. No one looked at her. No one asked for her name. But she was there. Every day. The internal broadcast camera moves discreetly. It focuses on the audience. Uncomfortable faces. Some look down. Leonardo continues. And I asked myself, when did we start to believe that value has to do with a position? That courage is just a word on a PowerPoint slide? He looks towards the back of the hall. The bravest woman I have ever met is here today. Everyone turns. Sophia freezes. Leonardo doesn't look away. She was ignored by everyone, except for me. Silence. For a second, no one knows what to do. Not to applaud, not to get up, not to leave. Sophia wants to disappear. Her face is burning. Her eyes are wet. But she doesn't cry. She's just there. And for the first time, she's not alone. Leonardo goes down from the stage. He walks toward her, his eyes still fixed on hers. He passes between executives, board members, cameras. He stops in front of her chair. He bows slightly. He extends his hand. She looks at him as if she doesn't know what it is, but she takes it for an instant. Then she lets go. I don't know if you know what you're doing, she says in a low voice. I know, he replies. For the first time, I know. She breathes, firmly, but she doesn't get up. He understands. He goes back up to the stage. The audience applauds, some sincerely, others uncomfortably. But no one laughs. No one dares to laugh. And in the middle of the applause, Sophia lowers her head, not out of shame, but because something inside her, something she fought to keep intact, has just cracked. It's not love, not yet. But it is the first real crack in the shield of someone who has spent her entire life having to defend herself. And that changes everything. How do you think Sophia and Leonardo will navigate their relationship after this public display? A shared path. The entire world seemed to explode in a single applause or judgment. But when the lights went out and the journalists left, all that remained was the aftermath. Sophia went home with the children asleep in her lap. Leonardo went to a glass penthouse where the silence now weighed differently. Neither of them slept well that night, because the scandal was the first blow. But the real test was still to come. The family court doesn't have the coldness of glass skyscrapers. The walls are yellowish. The paint is peeling in some corners. The wall clock has stopped. Stopped months, maybe years ago, as if time there were an uncomfortable visitor. People come and go, with folders in hand, pushing strollers, shaking hands they don't want to shake. Sophia sits on the bench in the hallway. The twins are with the nanny on another floor, waiting. Her hands are cold. Her eyes are dry. She has already cried all the tears there were to cry. Now she just wants to get through this, to survive one more time. Leonardo is 2 meters away, standing. Dark suit, broad shoulders, straight posture. But today there is something misaligned about him, as if the tension he carries is holding his jacket together from the inside. "Do you need anything?" he asks, without getting too close. "No," she replies, looking straight ahead. The silence between them is not hostile. It's a safe place, almost intimate. The door to the courtroom opens. The clerk calls. "Case 29-4362, Sofia de Almeida versus Rodrigo Enrique Bastos." Sofia gets up. Leonardo accompanies her. One of the lawyers tries to intervene. "Mr. Moretti, maybe it would be better if—" Leonardo raises his hand firmly. The lawyer falls silent. They enter. The judge is an older woman, gray hair pulled back in a functional bun, an impassive face, thin-rimmed glasses. She observes everything without rushing, like someone who has seen too much to be in a hurry. Rodrigo is already there, an expensive suit, a gold watch, his lawyer at his side, a cold smile on his lips. "Your Honor, I would like to begin by pointing out that my client did not have access to the children's pregnancy or birth for reasons beyond his control. The mother chose to raise them alone, without seeking him out, which compromised the natural bond." Sofia clenches her fists. The judge doesn't react. Leonardo's lawyer this time is the one who speaks. His voice is firm, unadorned. "Your Honor, we wish to attach the documents collected. They include screenshots of conversations where Mr. Rodrigo encouraged the termination of the pregnancy. There is also evidence of transfers made by Ms. Sofia at the time he refused to contribute financially, in addition to his proven disappearance through international travel records during the children's first 2 years of life." The judge receives the material. She starts to leaf through it, slowly, without rushing. She takes one screenshot in particular. She reads it aloud. "If you insist on this, deal with that problem yourself. I'm not going to be a father now." Pause. She looks at Rodrigo. "Do you confirm having sent this message?" Rodrigo looks away. His lawyer whispers something to him, but he doesn't respond. The room falls into a heavy silence. The judge continues. "We also have recent psychological reports here. They were conducted with the children, by specialists from the Public Defender's Office's child area. The reports are clear. Both children, though young, recognize Leonardo Moretti as the predominant emotional paternal figure. There are records of multiple interactions, spontaneous accounts from the minors, and behavioral observations that reinforce the bond." Rodrigo shakes his head, giving a cynical laugh. "Is that how it is now? A rich guy shows up and decides to play a good deed, and he's a father already?" Leonardo looks up. For the first time he speaks. "I didn't do charity. I was there, when no one else was, even you." The judge raises her hand. "Gentlemen, silence." Sofia says nothing. It's not necessary. She is there, whole. She doesn't have a speech. She has a history. The judge closes the report. She looks at everyone. "The state must ensure the best interests of the minors. The best interest is not always biological. It's emotional, affectionate, protective. Mr. Rodrigo had 3 years to look for his children. 3 years. And he chose to appear now." She takes a deep breath. "Custody remains entirely with the mother, Ms. Sofia de Almeida. Any attempt at reversal or appeal will be directed to the specialized court. But I will say in advance that the elements here are sufficiently clear about the absence of a paternal bond. The process is closed." A gavel hits, but the real sound happens inside. Rodrigo gets up. He doesn't look at anyone. He leaves. Quickly. With his suit more in line than his conscience, Sofia remains seated, Leonardo still standing. The room empties. She doesn't smile. She doesn't say thank you. She doesn't explode. She just feels her body soften, not from relief, but from exhaustion. "Is it over?" she asks, almost without a voice. "For now," Leonardo replies. She gets up slowly. She looks at him. For a moment, it seems like she's going to say something important. But the silence between them takes over again. That same kind of silence that protects, that holds. "Thank you," she says low. "True. It's not necessary." She looks at him fixedly. "It is necessary, because you could have done it your way, but you respected mine." Leonardo holds her gaze, and for the first time he takes a step forward. Only one. He extends his hand. She hesitates, but she takes it. Not as someone who accepts help, as someone who recognizes a choice. Their hands remain there, firm, human, real. And for the first time since the day he saw her in the elevator, they are on the same ground, at the same height, with the same wound, at the same starting point. She lets go slowly. They leave the room, side by side, without rushing. Outside, the sky is gray. The day doesn't promise sun, but it doesn't threaten a storm either. It's one of those ordinary days in which extraordinary things happen without making a sound. And they know it. Something has changed, definitely. But neither of them is in a hurry to name it. In what ways do you think the shared experience of the court case brought Sophia and Leonardo closer? The unspoken love. The invitation doesn't arrive with flowers or grand speeches. It's not a scene from a telenovela. It's a conversation at the end of the afternoon, with an opaque sky and the sound of children running in the background. Leonardo is sitting on the steps of the house entrance, the same steps that had never been used before. Sophia is standing, leaning against the side column, her arms crossed, trying to hide the discomfort of being there, in between what is provisional and what seems too definitive. "The house is ready," he says. He doesn't look at her when he speaks. "Their room is on the second floor. It has a view of the garden. I put a lock on the inside, and a camera on the outside." She doesn't respond immediately. "Do you want me to move in?" "I want you all to be safe." "And me?" "You decide." She hugs herself, as if the posture could protect her from something that still has no form. "I don't know if I can live in a place where everything is perfect. Nothing is perfect. It just has an alarm and space." She looks at the ground for an instant. Then she looks up. "I'll bring my own plates." "Just bring yourself." The answer is simple. Direct, almost dry. But it contains a kind of tenderness that is not learned. That is revealed. The following week, she moves in. Not all at once. She arrives in pieces. 2 backpacks, a shopping cart, the toys in a black bag, the clothes in cardboard boxes, the children in the back seat of a car she never thought she would get into. Leonardo's house is spacious, but silent. The kind of silence that resonates, that makes you listen to yourself more than you'd like. The first dinner is at the kitchen counter. The children make a mess with the noodles. One spills juice on the floor. Sophia kneels to clean, by reflex. Leonardo kneels with her, takes a rag, helps. "You don't have to," she says in a whisper. "I know," he replies. And he doesn't stop. The first night is difficult. The twins don't sleep. One cries. The other has nightmares. Sophia gets up 4 times. Leonardo, 2. The whole house is awake, but no one complains. The next morning, the smell of coffee fills the kitchen before the light does. Sophia is standing, barefoot, wearing one of his t-shirts. Too big, too comfortable. She doesn't even notice. Leonardo comes in. He stops for a second at the door. He watches her from behind. She feels it. "Is it too early?" "No," he says. "It's fine." They drink coffee without talking much. The children appear later, with pillow marks on their faces. One climbs onto Leonardo's lap. The other sits on the floor and starts playing with a spoon. Nothing is forced or natural. It's a place in between. A process. The days pass. Sophia starts tidying up the house's closets, not out of obligation, out of unease. She organizes the dishes, folds the kitchen towels, learns to use the industrial stove. Leonardo notices the small changes. The fridge has colorful magnets now. One of the cabinets has child locks. The twins' drawings are taped to the wall of his office. In one, with a red pencil, a figure with gray hair and a watch on its wrist is drawn. "Is that me?" Leonardo asks. The child smiles. He nods. "And why don't I have a mouth?" "Because you hardly ever talk." Leonardo laughs, but it makes him think. In the third week, he gets home from work later than usual. He finds Sophia in the living room, with wet hair and her eyes fixed on a program she isn't watching. "Did everything go well?" she asks. "I reprimanded 3 directors, and I won 2 lawsuits." She smiles, barely. He sits down next to her. He falls silent. "I thought it would be weirder," she says after a while. "And is it?" "No, but I'm afraid of getting used to it." "Why?" "Because when you get used to something, it hurts more when it's over." He turns his face. He doesn't respond. After a while, he says, "I'm not here by chance." She looks him in the eyes for a second. Deep, uneasy. "And I didn't come out of need." "I know." The next night, he appears in the kitchen with a bag of French bread and 2 cartons of milk. "I went to the supermarket. I remembered you like to heat up milk before bed." "I didn't tell you that." "You told the child. I listened." She looks away, but she accepts the gesture. On Friday, she prepares dinner. He arrives with 2 bags of ice cream. "It's cold," she says. "The ice cream isn't about the weather. It's about memory." "What memory?" "My father used to bring ice cream when he didn't know how to apologize." She stops. "Are you apologizing?" "No, I'm remembering." She serves the dishes. He sits down. The children spread out at the table, as always. In the middle of dinner, one of them looks at Sophia and asks, "Do we live here now?" She hesitates. She looks at Leonardo. He holds her gaze for a second. "Yes," he says. The child smiles and continues eating. In the early hours of that day, Sophia wakes up startled by thunder. She goes out of the room. She finds Leonardo sitting in the hallway armchair, in pajamas, with a cup in his hand. "Couldn't you sleep either?" "I heard crying. I thought it was one of them." "It was me." He gets up. "Come here." She goes with him to the kitchen. They don't say anything for minutes. "I still don't know what we are," she says. "Me neither. And doesn't that make you uncomfortable?" "No, because every time I try to give it a name, it falls short." She swallows hard. He touches her shoulder, carefully, like someone learning to touch for the first time. She doesn't pull away, but she doesn't move closer either. They stay like that. Still, as if something were forming between them, without rushing, without fear, without promises. Just presence. The next day, Leonardo leaves work early. He stops by a toy store. He buys a giant puzzle. One of the children loves it. The other tries to eat the pieces. Sophia laughs. He pretends not to care, but carefully puts away the box lid. That night, they watch a movie together. The children fall asleep on the sofa. She gets a blanket. He tucks them both in. When she gets up, he takes her hand without thinking. "Stay?" She stays, but it's not the time to say anything yet. They don't say we're together yet, but they already are. And they know it, even if it's in silence, even if it has no name, because some things don't need titles. just time and truth. What do you think is the biggest lesson Leonardo has learned from Sophia and her children? An extraordinary day. The company hall is more illuminated than ever. Chandeliers hang from the ceiling like constellations trapped in the marble. The guests are scattered at long tables, dressed in their best, talking in low voices, drinking slowly. There is a polished tension in the air, as if everyone knows that this isn't just another event. And it isn't. Not after everything. Leonardo arrives without rushing. A dark blue suit, a simple tie. Without that shield in his gaze that he used to wear as armor. He doesn't smile at everyone, but he looks them in the eye. Those who think they are too important look away. The small ones respond with respect. Sophia enters a few minutes later. There is no announcement, no spotlights, but it's impossible not to notice her. Her red dress, simple, without shine, without a brand name, contrasts with everything around her. And yet, she doesn't seem out of place. She seems complete, with her children by her side, holding hands, like someone who enters someone's world without asking for permission, but also without apologizing. Leonardo sees her, and he doesn't hide a thing. He crosses the room in the middle of a toast, in the middle of a casual conversation. He doesn't wait for the right moment, because the moment is now. She stops. He extends his arm. Sophia hesitates for half a second, and she accepts. They walk together, their steps in sync, their gazes in silence. In the center of the hall, he doesn't give an executive speech. He just breathes and says, "This is Sophia, the woman who changed the way I see the world." No one applauds immediately, but no one laughs either. Some tighten their glasses more. Others look down. Until one of the oldest employees begins to applaud. Once, twice, 3 times, then another, and another. And without rehearsal, the whole room is applauding. Not out of obligation, but out of truth. She doesn't cry. He doesn't smile exaggeratedly, but both their eyes carry the same contained sparkle of someone who has learned to feel with care, like someone holding something too valuable to squeeze. Months later, the grass in the garden is taller than it should be. The trees cast shadows over the abandoned toys in the yard. One of the twins is lying on the ground, looking up at the sky as if he wants to learn how to read clouds. The other runs after a paper airplane. Sophia is sitting in the hammock, jeans, a loose t-shirt, her hair effortlessly tied back. Leonardo arrives with 2 glasses of juice. He hands her one. He sits on the ground, leaning against the porch step. "They fell asleep in school today," she comments. "The teacher said they are teaching the others how to draw." She smiles. "They're good at that. They're good at almost everything. They inherited it from their mother." She looks at him. She says nothing. After a while, he says, "I thought about asking before, but I thought it would seem rushed." "Asking what?" He raises his right hand. In it, a small box. Wooden, without shine. Discreet. Sophia doesn't move. He opens it. Simple rings. No stones. No ostentation. "Will you marry me?" She watches him like someone reading a page she didn't expect to find. Then she says, "I think we're already a family. Getting married is just a detail." Leonardo closes the box, but he doesn't put it away. "Still, I want them to see it. I want us to see it. I want us to choose it." She gets up from the hammock. She walks toward him. She takes the little box. "Okay, then let's show it." The wedding takes place at home. There is no formal ceremony, no priest, no judge. There is a pergola covered with leaves, a table with flowers picked from the garden, plastic chairs borrowed from the neighbors, and an old radio playing a song no one knows, but everyone enjoys. The twins come in with the rings inside toy containers. One loses a piece. The other holds it. They laugh. The world laughs with them. Sophia walks in holding the children's hands. A beige dress. Simple, but beautiful. Leonardo waits for her in a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, no tie. There is no speech, just glances, promises without words. When they exchange the rings, it's like sealing something that already existed. Not a beginning, but a recognition. After the I do, no one shouts, no one throws rice. But there is a calm in the air that no one dares to break. The two hug, slowly, deeply, like someone who understands that love didn't arrive now. It was just, finally, named. Later that night, the children sleep on the sofa, hugging. Sophia takes off her shoes. She goes to the kitchen. Leonardo is washing the dishes. I never imagined getting married in a yard. Me neither. And it was the best place possible. She approaches. She rests her forehead on his back. He puts down the plate. He turns around. They kiss, without rushing, without ceremony. Because the improbable, when it decides to happen, doesn't need permission. Just space and truth, and they already have both. Now, they also have each other. And that is enough. If this story moved you, comment here. Would you let someone into your life like this? Or would you close the door for fear of being hurt again? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapters. And turn on the bell here. Every story is a blow of truth.